Hey, brothers, fine mates. How's it going? Twins. I'm back once again with another video. You're wondering why I have waifus on my window. Well, you've played or heard of Umamusume, right? I got one of those free voucher things yesterday. Well, I spent money. So, the free temple got um, Festival Symboli Rudolph, and I got a free voucher. I can get any character from the base 3 stars all the way up to I think uh, fine motion. Oh, these are the 6 I'm interested in. First off, Majiro Dober. Yes, Majiro Dober. She is the four. No, currently she is the fourth. No, third Majiro in the game right now behind Medro Ryan, Medro McQueen. Well, she is the third because after Dover, you would have Medro Arden and recently Medro Bright. Well, take a look at her. She oozes tsundere energy, right? Well, that's because she is. In canon, she doesn't like men. So, like, if you train her with a male trainer, she'll be cold towards you, and then she warms up to you, just like a tsundere. But you would have a better chance of training her if you had a female trainer. There's real life reasons for this. I'm not going to get to right now. Um, she treats Air Groove as a sensei. As you know, Air Groove was in the generation before Dober became a race Umamusume. Because remember, all the Umamusumes in the game are based off real race horses from Japan or overseas. Because Dober started racing in '97. So you could say she's a part of the golden generation, along with Special Week, King Halo, El Condor Pasa, Zane Sky, Grass Wonder, and Surumaru Sayoshi. But technically, she's not. But we'll get to that later. Well, we're not getting to that later. Her roommate is Taiki Shuttle. You know, the greatest miler racer in history. She is the only short distance Umamusume or well horse to win Horse of the Year in 1998 or 97, one of those 2 years, because she was that dominant in mile and sprint races. And she also does well. Dover, she has a little secret. She writes shoujo dojins or shoujo manga, but as we all know later on, it's been headcanoned and canned, or headcanoned by people in fandoms that she writes dojins with August Digital. We'll get to her later. And unlike August Digital, who is a full on out pervert, Dober is a closeted pervert. But, like, it makes sense with the whole Cinderella thing. You don't want to admit that you like being a pervert, but you're too regal as a Mejiro to admit it. And then, in real life, this is true by the way, she has Umapioid with Special Week in real life. I mean, I'm not lying. It's in the history books. Look it up. And then we get to the next option, Kawakami Princess. So, as you can tell, she's basically a gorilla. Well, not really. She's not against Ladonna. Not yet. She's not out yet. And if she does, or if she's out, I'm gonna get her. I'll try to anyway, if my luck's strong enough. Uh, Kawakami Princess, if you see her race outfit, you can obviously tell it's based off of Precure. You know, that anime series with magical girls. Yeah, that's true. Her whole outfit and demeanor is based on Precure. And she's also, you probably noticed that she looks up to King Halo a lot. That's because in real life, King Halo sired Kawakami Princess. This is true, by the way. And her roommate is seeking the pearl. Another Umamusume who hasn't came out yet. She's in Unity Cup as a option since you have her support card, and you can race her in Track Blazer. Um, since I mentioned earlier that she's a gorilla, she she punches and destroys a lot of things. She's destroyed buildings, air conditioners, floors, tracks, and everything. She doesn't know how to control her strength. Yes, she's the type of princess. She's a tomboy princess. You know, kind of like Marl in Chrono Trigger and Princess Peach in Super Mario RPG. And I guess in the new Mario movies now. I guess. But it is what it is. So, you know the trope of the prince carrying the princess and going off to a happily ever after. Kawakami Princess wants to do the opposite and hold her potential prince. You know what I mean? She wants to princess carry her own prince. And in real life, she has competed with Dio Scarlet, known as Miss Perfect. Never gotten below second place in any of her races. Vodka, one of the greatest horses or Umamusumes ever, because she's one of the few that's won 7G1 races. Which, side note, I do wish if they ever make another Umamusume anime, they have one focused on Daigo Scarlet and Vodka. Only problem with that is most of the other horses they've raced against, their owners don't want them to be in Umamusume. We'll get to that when we get to Ogre Recap. And she's also raced against Sweet Tosha. You know, the bratty Umamusume who thinks she's a magician. Yeah, that's Kawakami Gun Princess. And then let's get to Manhattan Cafe. So, you're familiar with the Umamusume lore, right? Most, if not all, of the Umamusumes descended from one horse, Sunday Silence. As you know, Sunday Silence is not in the game, but Manhattan Cafe is the closest one you'll get to Sunday Silence because she resembles Sunday Silence to the point that for a 2002 biography on Sunday Silence, they used Manhattan Cafe as a stand-in for Sunday Silence. Yes, this is true, by the way. Um, her imaginary friend that she talks to that no one notices or sees, it's implied to be Sunday Silence. Because remember, Sunday Silence has given birth to multiple Umamusumes besides Man Cafe. I'll give you some notable ones: Silent Suzuka, um, Marvelous Sunday, Fuji Kiseki, and then Agnes Takiya. Those are just a couple. If I talk about everything else she's done, or Sunny Silence's birth, I'll be here forever. And I don't feel like being here forever. I have some stuff to do later. Well, there is one other. Okay, you have you have Stay Gold, Air Shocker, um, Zeno Rod Roy. If she was available, she would be in this video right now, or as an option. But I gotta wait until September. And Admire Vega. And also special racist. I mean, special week. Yeah. So and stay seem still in love and admire groove. Those are just a couple of the progeny Sunny Silent. There's too many. She is surprisingly good at rock climbing. Yeah, it's one of her fun facts. It's one of her fun facts. Her roommate is Yukino Beachin. Well, she's not the only country bumpkin that we know of. We'll get to that again with Ogre Cat. She likes coffee. That's why I say she would probably work at or drink at Starbucks. Because, like, where else do you go to get your coffee? Well, besides local cafes. See what I did there? She absolutely hates tea like a plague. Mostly because she hangs around with Angus Tachyon and all she does is drink tea. So you see that more often in the movie or OVA series, Umamusume, Beginning of the New Era, where no, it's not her that's the protagonist. She's in there. Tachyon's there too. Jungle Pocket and NTR. I mean, Narita Top Road. She's the protagonist. No, it's either Narita Top Road or Jungle Pocket. And speaking of Agnes Tachyon, since Agnes Takyon's a scientist and does like weirdly questionable experiments, Man Cafe avoids her at all costs because she's usually the main guinea pig for her experiments. And then on to Agnes Tachyon, we have her roommate, Agnes Digital. Remember what I said about Metro Dover being a closeted pervert? Agnes Digital is a pervert. But, but, that's only one thing. Surprisingly enough, Agnes Digital is a surprisingly successful Umamusume. She is great at every distance and every type of track. She's good in dirt races, turf races, long distance, miles, and medium distances. And, well, as I mentioned that, she's also the one Umamusume who ended the reign of the Overlord of Century's End, TM Opera. Because the reason why she's called Overlord of Century's End is TM Opera went undefeated in 2000, which is the end of the 20th century. Anya's Digital beat her and her rival, Meisho Dodo, in the Takarazuka Kinen, or some other race. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And one other thing you didn't know, or no one knew, Anya's Digital is the grandson or granddaughter of, you know, legendary American Horse Secretariat. You know, same Secretariat who had a Disney movie and won one of his races by a record 32 lengths, which hasn't been broken since the 70s. And as you see in the Smart Falcon fans event, you'll see that she faints after watching Falcon train. Like, it's a funny meme. I'm glad it's there now in English. And let's go to the next. Ogre recap. You know, main protagonist of Umamusume Cinderella Gray. I mentioned a special week earlier. So she's the greatest glutton of today. Ogre recap? Greatest glutton of yesterday. Yes. I did the obvious Gojo Sakuna joke. By the way, unlike Gojo, special week didn't get cut in half. So there's that. So remember what I said about a controversy? So in the original pilot for Uma Musume, they showed a ice skating scene with Ogre Cap and Symbolic Rudolph, and they were like lovey dovey and stuff like that. So because of that, that kind of almost fucked everything up. So all the owners, they were this close to revoking all their rights and licenses to use their horses' names and likenesses because of Ogre Cappus and Bolly Rudolph being lovey dovey. Her roommate, well, Tamano Cross. Well, she's a gremlin. Well, Tamano Cross is. And if you watch the anime, she has never beaten Tamano Cross in a race until um, the last race of season one, because that was also Tamano Cross's last race. Which I haven't watched the last episode of Cinderella Gray, but I need to. I'll probably do that after this video. Um, she's from Kawamatsu, which is the countryside, and Country Bumpkin. You know, just usual goat things. And then finally, we get Fine Motion. Yes, you've noticed a pattern here. The six Uma Musumes I'm trying to pick are three of them are stallions, three are mares, but that doesn't matter. Well, only thing that matters is what races they do. Mares do the tiaras in classics, and stallions can do the classic triple crown if they want to. But Umamusume is a video game. You can do whatever you want. So one main thing about fine motion is you probably can't see it on the picture. She has two ear accessories. So that's in reference to the fact that the actual fine motion was born intersex. She has an extra chromosome that unfortunately made her sterile. So she couldn't joy with anyone, even if she wanted to. But enough about the dark shit. Um, she likes ramen a bit too much. She's like, well, put her in a ramen eating race with Naruto Uzumaki or his wife Hinata Yuga. Well, we'll see who wins. Honestly, it'll still be Hinata because in canon, Naruto eats a lot of ramen, but he got outclassed by Hinata in a ramen eating race, which is still funny to me. Her roommate is Air Groove, you know, aforementioned sensei to Meiji Dober from earlier. So this had to be retconned earlier, well, recently, because she was uh, Ireland royalty, but it got retconned so that she was descended from ancient royalty who ended up being going to Ireland, because it would be a bit weird to have an actual Umamusume be actual Irish royalty. But it's still a bit funny though. And then she can play, Umamusume Legend on a violin. Yes, you heard me correctly. She can play Umamusume Legend on violin. So, these are the contestants. Now, we're going to find out which Umamusume am I going to choose. So, how I'm going to do this. Every single one of these spins will be determined by a lot of things. So, whoever lands on this 3 times is who I'm going to pick. My pick, if I were to pick from these 6, is either no, Angus Digital, Kawakami Princess, or Medjiro Dodo. I'd be fine either way with Manhattan Cafe or Ogre Cat. Fine Motion is the underdog in the situation. So, let's start the wheel. First spin. So, the first one goes to Manhattan Cafe. Let's go to the second one. We got 1 for Fine Motion. Number 3. That's 2 for Manhattan Cafe. If she gets 1 more, that's what I'm picking. Now, this is it. If it lands Manhattan Cafe again, that's what I'm picking. Well, I'll be damned. It's Manhattan Cafe. So, that's that. But, that's not what I want to do.